Hello kids, for this week I have another sketchbook tour for you. Now this is my 2017 sketchbook, and fun fact, this is actually, I think, the very first time I've finished an entire sketchbook in 1 year. On top of that, my main goal for the sketchbook was very much quantity over quality, I'll say. So I wanted to improve a lot from my past sketchbooks, where I noticed a lot of the time with them, I'd have all these drawings that were like one single headshot on one page, and that was it. So I wanted to make sure the sketchbook was actually filled, so I did both sides of each page. I tried to experiment more with different types of art and media, I guess, and the sketchbook I have right here is a Canson mixed media sketchbook. I was checking on Amazon because I was pretty sure I bought an extra large for this, and Amazon said that this was an extra large too, but I went to the States back in October, right, and they sell Canson sketchbooks in their Walmarts, which they don't here in Canada, and this is the extra large Canson sketchbook I got in the States, so like, I'm so confused, like, why is this one so much bigger than this one? This one was also like half the price. It's what I've been using for acrylics at the moment, but I don't understand. And so the cover for this is an acrylic painting I did of a dragon. I realize it probably looks super washed out on camera. I'll try to post a color corrected picture of it right here. It was originally supposed to be a painting of a dog. I just wanted to do something cool with my sketchbook because I'd seen a lot of other people customizing sketchbooks, so I started trying to paint a dog, and then I realized dogs were hard to paint, so I painted a dragon instead. So if you've seen my drawing blindfolded challenge, you've probably seen this picture because I drew the entire thing blindfolded now because I use this as an example of what my OCs look like when I don't draw them blindfolded. So this is Tosh, Lex, and Lou, my main OCs. You can see here I wrote the date that it began because I noticed I didn't do that in a lot of my old sketchbooks. So I began this March 28th, 2017, and I finished it December 31st, 2017, literally an hour before midnight because I was so determined to finish this before the year was over. So that's like, what, 9 months? In the amount of time it took me to complete the sketchbook, some people make an entire human, but you know, I finished a sketchbook, so who's the real winner there? With the first page of the sketchbook, I had used marker just to see how marker would react to the paper, and it bled through onto the other side, but I was very dedicated to draw on every single page of the sketchbook. I think there's only 1 or 2 pages, spare the swatch pages in the back, that I didn't draw on. So I tried to make a girl out of like the silhouette I had. And then this is studies from pictures from my blog, Pretty Things and Pretty Thoughts. I'll link that somewhere down below, which is just a collection of pictures I think are really pretty. And I noticed right away with the sketchbook that it does transfer a lot, which I think is a problem with any sketchbook when you draw on both sides. So a lot of the colored pencil I put into the hair on this page transferred over to this page, which is a little disappointing, but whatever. If you followed my art blog during April, you might recognize some of these. These are a lot of my doodles from April drawing, so this was the very first one I did of Betty. And this right here, you can sort of see 2 panels up here. I was originally going to draw a little comic of this adventure I went on with my friends, and then I got lazy, so instead I used the boxes to do a left hand, right hand meme, which I actually really like how this turned out, mainly because the ink wash I was using, it's a really cheap ballpoint pen ink wash, and it had been expired, I think, so the colors were separating in it, but it got this really cool effect in the hair. I don't know if you can see it. I liked how it turned out. So here we have a minotaur because the theme of the day was mythical creatures, I think, and I wanted to draw something outside of my comfort zone. Oh, there's a Louie. I drew Louie a lot in the sketchbook. Like, I feel like I just need to put, like, a little Louie drawing counters on the screen to see how many drawings of him I did. There was me trying to color with marker more in the sketchbook because I have a decent amount of markers and I just never use them, and I want to get better about using them more. I ended up not using them a lot in the sketchbook because I was drawing on both sides of the pages. A little backstory behind this drawing, I was just sort of painting with ink while I was watching a Dan and Phil live stream, and they mentioned, it was right after they moved into their new apartment, so they mentioned doing cooking videos in the new kitchen, so that's why she's a chef. She was originally just a girl. And then this is a drawing of birds I did again for April drawing. And for this picture, I was babysitting my little brother while I was doing it, and he likes to sit in my lap a lot. He's 2, so, you know, he can get away with it. And he kept bumping my hand while I was trying to draw, so I just did this little thing where I tried to draw a shape, and whenever he bumped my hand, I just go with it, and then we made birds out of them. This one's my favorite, but again, with the transferring thing, a lot of the ink from this painting transferred over to this page, so they look a little dirty. Dirty birdies. So this is the one page I ended up not doing anything on. I thought about making something out of the shapes on this page, maybe like dresses or something, but then I did the Contest of the Month Tradigital Challenge. This was my traditional part of that challenge where I drew my desk being controlled by little people. But I really like how this turned out, mainly because I did it in charcoal, and I don't work in charcoal a lot. I don't like to because it's really messy, but I really like how this looked. Oh, so there's a deep, dark secret on this page. I don't know if you can see it, but here, let's reveal. So the reason why I put the little 7 over here was, again, this was during April drawing. You have to do a drawing every day and submit it, and I didn't have any drawings for the 27th, but I had done this entire spread the day before. I remember I was working on like a bigger project. I think it was either my traditional piece or that poppy speed paint I did, and I didn't really want to post work in progresses of it because I'd done a lot of work in progress shots for April drawing. So I was like, you know what, I like how this page turned out. I'm just gonna take a picture of it and say I drew it on the 27th. If I remember correctly, this was me trying to use up all of the ink in my brush pen because I wanted to change the ink out because it was sort of starting to die, and when it does that, the ink comes out really splotchy. There's a little Poppy and Kitamono because this was during my big Poppy the Performer obsession. Also, this is my OC Charlie. The rest of them are just scribbles. Oh, and then I was very happy about April drawing being over, so I wrote April is dead on the side, which it looks really ominous with no context, I realized. And there's Tosh. This was based on another artist's art, and I did this a lot in the sketchbook. I was really bad about it, where I would do sort of like half studies. They weren't full studies, but I would draw things based on other artists' style, and then I kept forgetting to like write down the artist, who they were, so I know who this artist is, but I can't remember her name, so if I do remember her name, I'll put a link down below. She's popular. And then it was Mermaid, but because Mermaid always happens after April, and I usually do the April drawing in April, I never do Mermaid because I'm just so burnt out from April drawing. One of these years, I'm gonna do Mermaid, but I drew a bunch of mermaids just to celebrate that Mermaid was happening. But like I was saying with the last page, this was a style study from an artist whose name I can't remember. She does a lot of South Park fan art. That's all I can remember about her, and she draws the most beautiful boys. And I don't draw boys very well, so I wanted to try drawing a boy in her style. So this one was a direct study from a drawing of hers. This one was sort of a combination of my style and her style, drawing Louis, of course, because what other boys do I draw? And then, if you recognize who this is the drawing of the same person. I'm not going to say who it is because I'm embarrassed by how bad they turned out, but if you recognize who those are, then thank you. And then we have some more poppies. And this little alphabet I wrote up here, I had this little scratching pin for one of those. Have you ever done like those scratchy art things where you scratch the black part off of the top of the art and then it reveals colors underneath? I had a pin from that. I had my ink wash. I wanted to try using it as a dip pin. It didn't work very well, but there's a kitamono, there's a mermaid, there are just some anime girls. Oh, and this drawing of Tosh, I ended up trying to do a painting based off of it, which you'll see a little later in the sketchbook. The painting did not turn out well at all, but I did end up sticking it here. Actually, I think on this page. Yeah, there it is. So the reason why I don't like this painting is because I just couldn't get Tasha's skin tone down, and I didn't feel like I drew her face shape right, and I was struggling. And then this one, the reason why it says salon on the top is because I like writing words on my art sometimes just because it makes them look more interesting, even if the words are completely nonsensical. So sometimes I do this thing where I'd be like watching a video or listening to a song while I was drawing, and so I'd write the first word that stood out to me. So while I was doing this picture, I was watching a Caitlin Dowdy video on death salons. And there are some more Louis, and I really like this drawing of Louis. I think the style is just very fun. This was when I started getting into stippling. These are actually, like, at the time I was super proud of them. Looking at them now, I'm like, ooh, those aren't very good. That's not good stippling, Melody. But I did really like them when I drew them originally. I also remember I was watching Adventure Time while I was drawing these, so a lot of the aesthetics behind this were based off of the episodes I was watching. But I really, really do like this page, and then I wanted to do something cool on this page. I had a plan to draw out a bunch of skulls, but I only did 2 because I got lazy. This one was a watercolor painting I'd been working on, and oh, I was so frustrated with this. So I did 1 layer of paint, and I really liked how it worked out. I thought it looked really nice, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go over with another layer to make it darker, of different colors or whatever. And I didn't let it dry long enough, so when I went over with the other layer, it just got really blotchy, and I got sad. It was the end of May, so I decided to close it off by drawing some more mermaids. I had a really bad migraine when I was working on this page, which is why it says migraine sketch at the bottom. But I just sort of wanted to scribble, and I think when I'm having a hard time focusing on art, the best thing for me to do is just sort of like do really loose hand sketches. So that's what these were. I would sketch them out in pencil and then went over them with brush pen. And they're really messy and loose, but I do really like how they turned out. And then on this page, my original plan was that this one little bird was going to take up the whole page, but I didn't draw it big enough. So I just looked at a bunch of pictures of other birds, reference pictures, and drew them. This one obviously wasn't done with reference, the rest were. And then here are some flowers, and while I was working on this page, I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and my plan was to have a full page of flowers and to maybe like block out the background with some colors or something. But I got too distracted by the Guardians and I didn't finish this page. And then there are some more poppies. This was just a bunch of scribbling. I think this was around the time that I was moving during the summer, so I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to art, so when I could draw I was just doodling real quick to just get it out of my system. That's my OC Susie. I think this might have been Credence from Fantastic Beasts, but I don't remember. And the rest of them are just nonsense. And then these are some studies. This was a fashion picture from Pretty Things and Pretty Thoughts. This was based off of a picture I saw on Twitter of a bear coming out of a subway, which was an ad for something, but I thought the bear looked really cool, so I wanted to draw it. And then this was just a Starbucks cup I had on my desk. Oh, so you may recognize this. This is from my 3 marker challenge. It's the final piece. These were some ideas of things I was going to do. I ended up going with this sketch. I was also torn between maybe doing like an astronaut, but I figured it'd be really hard to do that with just 2 colors. And then I had some ideas for some other girls, but I really liked how this one turned out, so I stuck with it. Well, this is such a cop-out page. So because I did marker on the last page, it obviously bled through onto this page. I thought about just coloring over it, but instead I just decided to go over the outline with brush pen and sort of remake the image. This was my first try at acrylic painting in the sketchbook. It didn't go very well. I later found out it's because apparently you're supposed to prime your paper or whatever before you try painting over it, because the paper just wasn't reacting to the paint well, so I sort of gave up on it. And when my older sister came to visit me back in October, she randomly flipped over the sketchbook, and this was the first page she flipped to, and she was like, "Wow, Melody, why would you put bad words in your sketchbook?" I was like, "They're not bad words, it says buck off." Oh look, more Louie. Wow, I never draw that. I wrote down here, stressed, draw Lou, and if I remember correctly, it's because I was going through some really dumb boy drama during this period of time, and it was also around the time I was moving, and I was like, which OC of mine exemplifies boy drama more than Louie does? If I remember correctly, these 3 were studies, and then the rest were just doodles. This is the title of a Baby Metal song, I think. I think this is Line, but I'm not sure. And then this says "Oh Mom," which I got off of a T.O.P. song, which I thought was fitting because this girl looked like a mom. And what's under the sticky note? Oh, art. Here's another poppy. I think I just wanted to do like a full illustration on one page, just to make this sketchbook a little more diverse. And so I was doing this in colored pencil. I had plans to make it more detailed and more colored, but I just never did. So this drawing right here was a scribble I just did while I was on the phone with someone, I think, my bank or something, I don't remember. But you know how whenever you're on the phone and you just feel the urge to scribble, that's pretty much what happened here. Oh, and then this little guy sort of spawned a bit of an obsession with drawing Lysander from Pokemon, apparently. I don't know if you guys have seen my The Move from Hell video, the speed paint for that. I think that's where most of my audience actually came from. But a lot of people commented that the guy I drew looked a lot like Lysander, and at first I was so confused because I haven't played a Pokemon game since Gen 2, so I had no idea who Lysander was. Like, I even have an OC named Lysander, and I was like, I know obviously they're not referencing him, but I was so confused. But no, It was actually my OC Wilcrow. This is what he looks like. This is a more accurate drawing of him, but I was just going through a bit of a fox drawing phases, and since Wilcrow's a fox boy, I wanted to draw him and then a bunch of other foxes. And then most of these are just doodles. I think I drew this while I was watching Lily C. Reed's review of Anna and the French Kiss. This was when I was doodling with my little sister. I wanted to draw some anime girls, because what else do I draw? And I know these two were from reference. Again, I didn't write down who the artist was, because I'm just a terrible person. This one was from a GIF from an anime. And then this one is from an artist whose name I can't remember, but I know she has this she's a classic, I think she was popular in the 90s, manga artist who she draws these like big, really sparkly eyes, and so I wanted to do something based off of one of her pictures. And then I ran out of anime girls to draw, so I asked my little sister Amy, who I was doodling with, what I should draw, and she said pictures of us drawing, and then pictures of us watching videos on her tablet, so that's what these two are. These were some more pretty thought studies. I actually really like how this one turned out, just because it's the first time I've drawn something that actually looked like the reference image. These were more studies of, you know, the main three things I draw: birds, skulls, and memes. This is also another one which I really like because it looks a lot like the picture I was drawing. It's that guy who's holding that giant, what is it, an onion? That guy, that's what that picture is, and I like it because it actually looks like him. Here are some astronauts. This was for Jazz's Contest of the Month, the t-shirt design one, because I had an idea of an astronaut drawing space, which I ended up not finishing. I might still do that design and just put it up in my own Redbubble when I actually get that going. It's a redrawing of a picture from another sketchbook, which I was supposed to finish in 2017, and I didn't, but it was one of my favorite drawings in my OC Corduroy. And then I really like this wolf creature thing. I'm not sure who it is, but I want to make it a character, because I like drawing it, and I like how this picture turned out. I think I was going through a little bit of art block during this time, and so I was doing mostly studies, but I couldn't even like finish studies because I just couldn't focus on drawing. This is just a Sharpie doodle because I had bought myself a set of Sharpies, I think. Either that or I found the set of Sharpies I already had, but I just wanted to do a doodle mostly in Sharpie. I think the outline was either done in a Sharpie fine liner or it was done with my Uniball. It's actually, the pose came from that one video of that girl showing how shea butter's made. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like one of my favorite videos. And she has this one point where she's like stirring the butter in the pot, and like the way her sleeve falls looked really cool. So I wanted to draw an outfit based on that specific pose. And then I was like, oh, it kind of looks like, you know, she's a witch, so let's just make her a witch. So that's how that picture came about. These are redrawings from the daily doodles I did in 2016 because I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I was like, let's just redraw some pictures. Here I was going to draw a bunch of big animals, but I could only think of 2 whales and elephants. And then these are just a bunch of Sharpie doodles based on a true story. And up here we have the lyrics for Turning Out by AJR, because that's the song I feel like I related to most in 2017. Here's a painting, again, more redrawing from my 2016 daily drawing sketchbooks. These 2 were studies from Pretty Things and Pretty Thoughts, and then this one was a combination of like 3 different pictures because I like the haircut in one picture and the outfit in another picture and the color scheme in a different picture, and so I just combined them all together. And this is actually this little girl up here. She's probably one of my favorite drawings in this sketchbook. She was just drawn using 3 ballpoint pens, but I really like how it turned out. It's very cute. And then I just drew a bunch of girls on this page because I was like, you know what, I don't draw enough of pretty girls, so here's just an entire page full of pretty girls. I think this one's actually my favorite. And then here's a drawing of Tosh. I originally did this drawing because I saw this cool, I think it was 1920s or 1950s dress on one of the fashion blogs I follow, and I thought it would definitely be something Tosh would wear. So I wanted to draw her in the dress, but then I spent so long drawing her face that by the time I got to the dress, I was like, I'm tired, I don't want to draw a dress. And then these were some studies of whales for the other Jazz Contest of the Month I entered, the makeup challenge I did. These were from DoodleTube, actually I entered 3 times, that's a lie, but these are the 2 traditional DoodleTube entries I did. So this was my first initial sketch for the Meet the Artist meme, which I later redid digitally because this turned out really bad. And then the theme for these 3, I think, was tiny monsters or little monsters or something along that line. So I did some little kid monsters and then like another little kid monster, and then just a vampire, because I wanted to draw a vampire. This was right after I got my microns, and so I was trying to experiment around with them. This was also for DoodleTube. I originally had plans to draw a traditional piece, but instead I didn't like how this turned out, and I did something digitally, which I also was kind of about.
The idea behind this picture was because the theme was summer. I wanted to draw one of my summer memories, which was when I was growing up in Utah. My mom wouldn't let me eat popsicles inside, but I wanted to eat popsicles because it was summer, so I would have to go outside and sit on the porch and literally just try to eat the popsicle as quickly as I could because summer's really hot in Utah because it's a desert, and so my popsicle would like melt while I was eating it.
Oh look, more Louis. Wow. And I didn't like how any of these turned out. This one was like an older Louis. I don't know if you can really see it because there's a marker behind it. Then I tried doing more Louis and I couldn't remember how his jawline works, and none of them turned out. And then these are more studies from Pretty Things and Pretty Thoughts. You know, beautiful artwork. This says Redbird up here because these are studies from dresses from this vintage store called Redbird. They also do this subscription box, which a lot of the vintage YouTubers I follow were unboxing, which is how I found their store. But they find and thrift or buy or however really nice vintage clothing and then resell it. And so these were a bunch of different dresses I found on there. This one, I really wanted to buy this dress, but I was like, I can't afford it, but it was this really pretty, like, goddess sleeve dress. It was in a really nice pale pink, but I didn't have an excuse to buy a really nice vintage dress. One of these days I will. And this was when I got back into stippling because I had the microns, and it's much easier to stipple with a micron than it is with a ballpoint pen. So these are just me testing out each of the different pin nib sizes to see what I liked. I ended up not finishing the 0.5 one because it was a lot of work, because it's such a tiny pinpoint. It's so hard to stipple something out really nice. And I also don't like how the 8 one turned out because it's too big, but you know, the ones in between are pretty cool. And then I did more stippling on this page, and I really like how these all turned out. I think my favorite from this is either this lollipop up here or like this guy. Oh, and I tried to write September in the bottom because that's when I did these, but I ran out of space. Wow, what is this, you say, Melody? An entire spread of just drawings of pretty girls? Yeah, it is. Here is me trying to use markers again, because I want to use markers. I really do. I just never get around to it. So this one, I just had a blue marker on my desk, a Crayola marker, and I just felt like scribbling. I think I was going through more art block at this point. Oh, and then this is my little stippling skeleton of Barry, the skull who lives on my bookshelf. So this was for my extreme 3-marker challenge video. These are the initial sketches of all of the girls I drew. And I always sketch so lightly, so it's really hard to see them, but I liked how a lot of these sketches turned out. And I do actually really like how this finished piece turned out. More marker doodling. I like this drawing, but this is pretty much the only drawing from this entire spread I like. Oh, and then there's a teeny tiny itty bitty Tosh, because I thought about doing the teeny tiny challenge. I might still do it, but I wanted to test out if I would be able to do it. Oh, and then these numbers down here are friend codes from Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, because this was when I was super duper into Pocket Camp, and I haven't played that game, like, since November. I really need to get back into it. So this was my original Wirt and Greg drawing, which I did for that really quick speed paint in October. Oh look, a Lou. Wow. Oh, and some Lil Peep lyrics, because I think this was around the time Lil Peep died, and I was super bummed out about that. And then this is Jake, one of the characters from my NaNoWriMo novel, Tatifa. So I originally planned going into the novel that I wasn't going to lock down any character descriptions of what the characters looked like, because I wanted to just leave that open to interpretation, but I also really wanted to draw them, because I like drawing my own characters. So sort of broke that rule. I didn't write down the descriptions at least, so they're still open to interpretation. This is just my own headcanon of what my own OCs look like. This was also during NaNoWriMo. I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to art, so these are just a bunch of scribbles. I don't even remember why I did this one. And then this, did I do this? I think I did this either right after NaNoWriMo finished or during NaNoWriMo. I know I posted it on my main art blog. But it was, again, just a bunch of scribbling to try to get back into the flow of drawing after I spent so much time focusing on writing. Hey, guess what that is? Is that a drawing of Lou? Yeah, it is. 'Cause I guess he's the only character I have. This was also supposed to be drawings of my main character, Everett, so I was trying to work out how his face looked, and I remember these were more style studies from an artist whose name I didn't write down. So that's good on me. These are just scribbles. And then this page was just me drawing a bunch of girl faces, because I haven't done that at all in the sketchbook. And I actually do really like how this page turned out, and I knew since there was the problem with pencil especially transferring between pages in the sketchbook, and this was a heavily pencil-centric page, that I was going to need to finish it with something. So I used the hairspray method where you spray hairspray on your page and it stops the image from transferring, which it worked okay. I can still sort of smudge these a little bit, which isn't great, and it did make the page curl up, but it also hasn't made this page an entire smudge mess, so that's a good sign. By this point, I was really like trying to finish the sketchbook since it was December and I still had a bunch of pages left, so I was basically doing like 2 pages a day in this sketchbook to finish it, so we're getting to the point where it's just a lot of scribbling. I'm sorry about that. But for this part right here, I had some highlighters on my desk, and I wanted to try blocking out shapes and highlighters and then coloring over, or drawing shapes over them, but I found out that that wouldn't work because when I tried to go over the highlighter and pencil, the pencil lines didn't show up very well, so I gave up on that and just drew a bunch of things. I like this robot guy. I used to draw robots a lot, and I don't draw them very much anymore, which is really a shame. And then this page reminds me very much of what pretty much all my homework looked like in high school, because I was just drawing with things I had on hand on my desk, so like a blue pen, some pencil, some highlighter. This is pretty much what all my teachers had to stare at whenever they were trying to grade my homework, and it's probably why all my teachers were like, Melody, maybe you should actually focus in class instead of doodling. Oh, and I had a really high fever when I was doing this page, so I was just trying to scribble. I like this dog. He's a good dog. So this, I tried the highlighter method again, but this time I was smarter about it, and I went over it with pen instead of pencil, which worked out a lot better. And then this was just, again, more scribbles. I actually really like how this guy turned out, and I think this girl's cute too. So again, more scribbles. Another character from Tatifa, which I was like, no, I'm only gonna draw Jake. If I draw the characters, I'm not gonna draw all of them. I'll only draw Jake. But then I was like, but I want to draw Danny too. So I'm so bad about keeping to my promises of not having set designs down. And then I did a little brush pen flower on this page, and it ended up smudging and transferring over to this page, and it looked like a dancing guy, so I made it into a dancing guy, and then drew out this whatever it is. This was me trying to do something a little bit more refined and planned out, so I did a pencil sketch first for once, and then went over it in pen, and I do like how it turned out. I think it's cute. And I used my silver Sharpie on this page, and I was super worried because with that Sharpie, the ink's it doesn't bleed as much as regular Sharpie ink, but it does sort of bleed through onto the next page, and I didn't want to ruin this beautiful work of art. And luckily, I was okay. There are just a couple spots where it bled through, but it's not too bad. And then this was me trying to finish out this page, I think at like 8 o'clock at night, because I was like, I need to go to bed soon, but I need to keep drawing 2 pages a day, otherwise I'm not going to finish the sketchbook. And I liked how this little cartoon guy turned out, so I did more Tatifa fan art. Can I call it fan art if it's my own stuff? Probably not. But I wanted to draw the characters in sort of a cartoony style. So there's Jake, there's the main character Everett, there's Danny. I was going to draw a 4th character right here, but I realized he was too tall to fit onto the page with the scale I'd drawn the characters in. And I could have drawn him shorter, hunching over, but I didn't want to. So I wrote Tatifa would make, and I was going to write a terrible cartoon, but it was late at night and I couldn't remember how to spell terrible. So I wrote a bad cartoon because it would make a pretty awful cartoon. So on this page, I was trying to do more studies from Pretty Things and Pretty Thoughts, mainly studies of faces, but I didn't like how they looked, so I drew a bird over them. And then this page was actually kind of fun. I did some splotches with ink and then sort of refined their shapes a little more and then made them into animals. And I ended up only doing 3. I wish I'd done more to fill out the rest of the page, but I didn't. This is a drawing of my elf OC who's in some of my older sketchbooks. I don't know if she's shown up in any sketchbook tours yet, but she was a Santa Claus elf OC. I think her name was like Holly or something really creative. For scribbling, I was doing the thing again where I was just blocking out shapes with highlighter and then trying to make things from it, and I thought the pose of the girl looked like a WikiHow tutorial type pose, so that's why I wrote 3. Remember elephants over here. This one I actually remember, at least not the name of the artist, but where this artwork came from. It was me drawing the Klondike from Jack Film's Jingle My Bells remix video because I thought the art style was cute. And so then I drew a deer in a sort of similar art style, but not quite the same. But I liked how the structure of the head was, so I wanted to sort of do a little study of it to understand it. This one, I actually liked the original drawing of this. It was a drawing of a duck looking up at the moon, which it still is, but then I was like, let's do an ink wash in the background. And again, my ink wash is very cheap, and it's also getting old, and it only lasts for a couple of months before it starts to get old and gross. And so when I tried doing the ink wash, it wouldn't lay down smoothly because it's starting to clot up. I finally bought myself better ink, so hopefully this problem won't happen anymore. But I feel like I just ruined this picture because it's all cloddy and gross. And then I drew some Pokemans. I think these were drawn from memory, but I'm not entirely sure because they're very accurate to the reference. And as you guys know, I'm a big Pokemon fan because I did that Lysander fan art. More doodles. This was actually me tracing my own art from the whale way back when. I traced over that with a lighter piece of paper and then did a charcoal transfer to transfer it over here because I wanted a whale on this page. I don't remember why. I think I just wanted to draw a whale, and I liked the shape of that whale, and I didn't want to try to redraw it. Wow, is this an entire page of pretty girl faces? I think it is. I'm glad I'm really diversifying the content in my sketchbook. And then this was, on Christmas, I wanted to draw some really cheerful Christmassy things. I drew some skulls and monsters, because nothing says Christmas like skulls and monsters. I was really grinding to try to finish the sketchbook, so that's why you'll notice there are getting less and less sketches on each page. So these were just some girls drawn with highlighter and ballpoint pen. This was also a girl drawn in pencil and brush pen. These were some pretty things, pretty thought studies. And I wrote down here PTP2 studies, but bad, because I didn't like how any of them turned out. And then I drew some dogs. And this is that dog I had drawn way back when. I wanted to redraw her again. Or him? I'm not sure yet. I wanted to redraw it, because again, I really like that dog. And I do actually quite like this page. Oh, and then this one was another one, which was based off of a different artist's art style, and I didn't write them down. So, pro tip, if you're gonna do that, write down the name of the artist so you can credit them. This was me drawing the same face in different styles, but really lazy because I was really rushing to finish this, and then I wrote the cop-out page on this one, because it is sort of a cop-out page, but if we flip to the next page, this page is even more of a cop-out, because like, I know I've pasted paintings and stuff into the sketchbook before, which was fine, but the thing with these paintings are I don't think I even did them in 2017. I think these are from, no, maybe they are from 2017 because this is watercolor, but still, I had done these like way back when, towards the start of the year, and I needed something to put on this page, and I found these in a box, so I just sort of taped them in here, but I feel like that's super lazy. Like, at least with all the other paintings I've stuck in here, I did them within the time frame of the pages around them, but not with these ones. These ones are just filling space. And then we have the last official drawing of the sketchbook. I figured since I started out with Lex, Lou, and Tosh at the start of the year, I should finish off with them. So rest in peace 2017. I like this picture compared to the first picture I did of them, because I feel like this one is very much towards the start of high school, what they would look like maybe freshman or sophomore year, and this one is definitely what they would look like graduating high school, so I felt like that was very fitting, but I actually do really like how this drawing turned out. And then the rest of this is just color swatches, nothing super exciting. Oh, I did a little house, I forgot about that. And the very last part of this sketchbook is another little acrylic painting I did on the back. I did this around the same time as the dragon painting, but I do feel like it sort of closed out the sketchbook nicely. But that's all I have for this sketchbook tour. I'm originally wasn't planning on doing another sketchbook like this year, because I was like, you know, we did our Doodly sketchbook this year. I'm going to be focused on more finished artwork, which is why I have this sketchbook for acrylic paintings and also non-acrylic-y things that are just more finished. But I found that I really missed just having a sketchbook to doodle in, so I actually bought myself another sketchbook. So maybe we'll do something similar to this next year. I don't know if I'm going to do it quite the same as I did the sketchbook, but we'll see. But that is all I have to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye!